Broadcasting live from the Wellness Wonderland, you're listening to the Wellness Wonderland Radio. I'm Katie, and each week I chat with the most inspirational people on the planet on how to stay inspired in all areas of life. As you listen, feel free to tweet at me at Katie Dalebout or use the hashtag Wellness Wonderland. I'd love to hear your aha moments. So grab your headphones and listen on the go, or cuddle up with a notebook as we dive in deep with authentic conversations right here in Wonderland. Welcome back to the Wellness Wonderland Radio, everybody. I am so excited because Michael Gebben is in Wonderland. Michael is a super cool guy and a successful young entrepreneur who recently launched an inspirational YouTube channel. Michael has been widely recognized for his filmmaking talent and innovation in the video industry and has even received various awards and honors. But what really inspires me about Michael is his passion for inspiring others. He's a powerful example and super passionate about teaching what he's learned, and he's determined to help others achieve greater success and live by his most important standard of living, which I love, which is to wake up every morning doing the thing you love to do. So thank you so much for being here, Michael, and chatting with me.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. That was an amazing intro.
Yeah, meant every word.
Thank
so
you.
let's dive in, and I want to know, did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
That's kind of funny because on some degree, I never knew entrepreneur, but in the sense of, what that word really means. Yeah, when we moved into my house that I lived in most of my life at the age of about, I think, 6 or 7, there was a football field that actually overlooked our backyard, and the opposing teams was backed up right up to our fence. And my parents always told me that I wanted to cut a hole in the fence and sell hot dogs and soda to the opposing team. I never got to do that, but so that was one of my early endeavors, and I wanted to do a car wash. I wanted to have that, a little detailing business, and that was still only at the age of probably 9 or 10. And but the big thing, I started a paper out, which I'm super pumped because after seeing a lot of super successful entrepreneurs and people out there that I am inspired by, I see that a lot of them had paper outs. So I think that that's a good sign.
Rite of passage, yeah.
But yeah, so I had a paper out, and then I had that for about 8 years, and then I actually had a candy machine business in high school, which was kind of funny because I didn't tell anybody in my school that I had the machines that were in the high school because I, for some reason, thought that they wouldn't necessarily want to give me money if they not that people didn't like me, but I was just like, what, if they just think it's normal candy machines over there, they'll still pump more money into it than if they think it's one of their fellow students. And so I had that, and then I started my whole little endeavor with video. Actually, as a junior in high school, my dad actually works at a cemetery, and so dealing with all that, and we actually, if I go backwards just for a second, we actually we made these little movies and everything. One called My Dad's Gone Nuts, and one Stinky Socks Stolen, and another one called The Vault. And so we dabbled in video, and we had fun with that. But then the guy who ran one of the funeral homes said, "You guys do some stuff with video, don't you? I saw one of your movies. Would you guys be able to make these slideshows, these memorial slideshows for when someone passes away?" And so I had actually done one for one of my relatives a month or two earlier, and I started doing that as a junior in high school. And then from there, I was filming school plays. I filmed my first wedding as a senior, and I can go on, but things kind of really started from there. So
yeah, that's awesome. So what do you love most about the video industry and editing and shooting video? Why was that appealing to you? I know you kind of happened into it, but once you started going in it, why did you want to stay in that field?
Well, it's funny how things go and the journeys that we take, because when I originally kind of took it on as a business, I actually didn't apply to any colleges or anything in high school. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And much like many people out there, we have a hard time figuring out exactly what we want to kind of focus on. And recently reading Pam Slim's book, Body of Work, kind of it's the multi-passionate entrepreneur is what I fit into that category. And so I wanted to was thinking about going to school for kinesiology and becoming a personal trainer. And I mean, I was into everything. But when I was doing some of this video work, it was just kind of, for some reason, it just kind of felt right. And then when I graduated, I thought, you know what, which a lot of people don't know. I don't think I said that in the Jonathan Fields interview that you found me from. But, I actually my mom cleans houses, and I actually quit one job that I had and went and started helping her clean houses. And I said, you know what, I had made $4,000 as a junior. I made $8,000 as a senior doing kind of video stuff. And I thought, well, if I can keep this trend going, maybe I'll make $16,000 this next year. But I wanted to have time to be able to kind of focus on it. And I still lived at home and all that. But I helped my mom clean houses for a little over a year. And so in 2005, I graduated. And in May of 2006, I launched what was called Geb's Total Video. And originally, I kind of launched it in thinking, well, this, like I said, hopefully I can double, which would have been great first year out of high school. And, that would have worked out well, like I said, because I lived at home and all this. But I started it because we actually wanted to make more of these movies. And so I thought, well, this is kind of fit. I'll be able to hopefully buy more of the gear that we need. I'll have, as much as most of us think, I'll have enormous amounts of time to work on the movies because I'll just do this video stuff on the side and it'll make me the money that I need and I'll have the gear that I'll need and I'll learn, more to help make these movies and make them better. Well, what's funny, or however you want to look at it, is we really didn't do much more with the movies from that point forward. And as I progressed, I actually kind of learned that I didn't necessarily want to do the movies anymore. I really enjoyed doing it with my family, but I saw like a whole different world that I didn't really know existed. And, the movies sometimes were like, you work for, well, it can be weeks at a time, 15 hours a day and all this kind of stuff. And I just didn't really, once I did, well, stay with me, I'm a little all over the place sometimes, but once I did my first wedding where I did a same day edit, which is what I became known for. And I got this like instant gratification, like literally, I'm shooting that day and I showed a video that night at the wedding and I surprised the couple and they went crazy and they had never seen anything like that. And that gave me a bug that has stayed with me forever now. And just that instant gratification of being able to see people cry and laugh and just be so happy was just awesome. And the movies were such this process that, it could be months upon months of working on this thing before we'd ever get to bring it out. And then, at that point in time, it was still kind of, we would have these little movie showings and, we got people to show up, but it was still, it was such a process and I didn't actually necessarily enjoy, I think, the entire process. So, I don't know. It's a crazy thing, but yeah, so...
It's really interesting to see, kind of in the transition to everyone, I talk with in this space that, every little thing happens for a reason,
yes.
Right? And every part of your path is something to be grateful for because it got you to where you are. So it's really cool to see, if one little thing had been different, you wouldn't be speaking on success and inspiring
Absolutely.
people because you wouldn't have built your business, right? Maybe if your dad hadn't had that experience and connection with the cemetery, you wouldn't have started to make video. And if you hadn't started to make videos for people, you wouldn't have started your own business. And, maybe you would have been selling hot dogs or something, but, you maybe wouldn't have taken it to the area of the success that you would have been able to create for yourself, to create the freedom to be able to do what you do now. So Absolutely. I would love to know, thinking back to all the success that you were able to create as an entrepreneur and making money for yourself and being able to support yourself, what was the most important mindset to get you where you got in your industry?
Well, I actually, one of my videos on my channel, I did about this because there was a guy in 2006 who reached out to me and I've become really good friends with. And he pointed out to me not too long ago that he remembered that when I started, I had, I was 19 years old when I started my company. And like I said, didn't go to college or anything like that. And so my mindset, and I didn't know about Tony Robbins or really personal development or any of these people who have inspired me at all at that point in time. So for me, my mindset was, I've always kind of, I guess, been a go-getter, but at the same time, I still had a little bit of that self-talk and that self-doubt of like, well, why would people want to hire me?
Right.
I'm too young. I'm too this, and the list goes on and on that a lot of us do, but that can happen at any point in life. I'm too old now. I'm too middle-aged. I'm too whatever, and there's so many excuses. But the biggest shift did come when, like I said in the video, I didn't change like my appearance or any of these other things that I was saying when I was supposedly too young. I still look about the same as a whole as I did when I was 19. But what did happen is I did change my mindset, and I basically had that confidence. I do believe in myself. I do know that I can do anything, like all those different things. And after getting to deal with a lot of high performers and getting to be around people like Richard Branson and Tony Robbins, and on Richard Branson's Island when I was filming there recently, I was with all these high-performing tennis players. Number one in the world, Novak Djokovic or the Bryan brothers in the doubles, and getting to see them, and then getting to see other actual tennis players who are maybe, in the 50th ranks or somewhere in that range, and actually literally seeing that the guy who was, in the, well, it's called 50s, 60s, in that range, whatever, and him having excuses. Well, I'm too short. I'm too this. I'm too that, of why he couldn't really get beyond where he was right now. And yet seeing someone like Novak saying, I knew I was going to be number one. I didn't know when, but I knew it. And just this, some could call it arrogance, but it's just this confidence. And you just know, you don't know when, but you just know that it's going to happen, and you believe it. And I think I truly know that that's the biggest difference between me of now and me of 19, is just that confidence and that belief that I know that I can do it. And when you talk to people, I was just talking to somebody yesterday. Desperation does not get us very far. Like, people can sense when you're desperate for work, when you're, so yeah, confidence is a powerful thing. So having that confidence is really helped elevate my business and elevate everything that I've done. So.
Oh, for sure. I think that's an awesome takeaway for people. And just like you said, people can sense it a mile away. You know?
Absolutely.
I love that. So why did you want to make the transition in your career to speaking about success? And maybe you could talk a little bit about how you define success now.
Yeah, well, for me, it's interesting. And I see a lot of, again, as I keep building all these relationships and just having the most awesome network of people in my life ever. It's just incredible. And you see that a lot of them seem to reach certain levels where they, I call it kind of pinnacles, where they've reached these just certain points where they've achieved so much awesomeness in their business that now it's maybe difficult for them to keep reaching in that specific space, those pinnacles. So now they want to give back, and however that looks. And it's done in a lot of different ways. But so for me, I've kind of reinvented myself a number of times in the video industry. And so it just kind of reached a point. It was actually about, it's funny because it was about, I think 2011 that I started really getting this bug a little bit inside of me. I spoke at some little video conferences, and it just, I just started to want to give back. But I kept kind of still pursuing video pretty hardcore. But then this, there was this thing inside of me I could not let go of wanting to inspire, educate, and just empower others to reach their goals and their dreams and their aspirations. And so once I started doing it with just some friends, and them having this just awesome success and getting to see them go from, I wish I could do this, to they're now doing it and now they're crushing it, like, it just really lit me up. And so, and success for me, and what's funny, there'll be some of these things that you bring up. I actually, I have videos that I've kind of done on these topics.
Right.
And so for success, like, some have these really difficult rules in place to achieve quote unquote success. So they're not successful. Let's take maybe a college student. So they're in college right now and they may see themselves as not successful until they get out of college, but then they've got school loans, so they want to get the school loans paid off, and then hopefully they get a job, and then when they get the job, they'll start paying the school loans off, and then after they've gotten the school loans paid off, maybe then they're successful. But by that point in time, they've created all these other things that have happened.
And they're too old, blah, blah, blah.
Right. The list goes on. And so you see that a lot, is that success is always some destination that they have to hit, but there's so many things to hit that, and then once they hit it, then they're not happy, and you keep moving. So, as cliche as it is.
The when I haves, right?
The when I haves. So as cliche as it seems, like truly I've made it about the journey, and about just the little wins every single day. And by making your rules simpler and easier to maybe win or achieve, you'll build momentum. And it becomes so much more fun when it is about the journey and not just some about destination. So because what people do is they make this rule as I'm a failure until I've hit that. And well, if you're thinking you're a failure every day, it's going to be hard to keep achieving. And so I just make it where it's easy for me to achieve. It's easy for me to keep moving forward and keep building on those little wins every day, so that I can have the big wins that really, they don't come all the time. And I think that's what some people can look up to people that they look up to, and they get discouraged because they see these big things that they've achieved. But, I also talk about like overnight success, and it's funny how so many of us don't get considered to be an overnight success, quote unquote, until something big has happened. And some people may never have anything super big ever happen, but that doesn't mean that they're not successful. That doesn't mean that they're a failure. You need to define what success means to you personally. But, you just, the overnight success it's a myth, because really, unless you have some big win, like, I've had the Tony Robbins and the Richard Branson, some of these things, but guess what? Those are like one massive thing that might happen in the year, along with all these other little things that happen, but nobody cares about any of that. So if I didn't have the Tony Robbins, though, per se, or Richard Branson, or some of these other things I've had happen, like, people might not have taken notice. And that's the things I see happen in a lot of people. They all of a sudden have something, like if it's not an entertainer, an actor or something, that all of a sudden has a big blockbuster movie. But he's been making movies for 15 years and nobody cared. And so it's like, do you have what it takes to do, well, not what it takes, but do you have the passion? Have you found that thing that you love, that it doesn't matter if you ever have that huge thing that happens, you just love the whole process of what you're doing. And so that's the thing for me. And I find that if for too long I'm not liking what I'm doing, I think this is something from Steve Jobs, but others may have said it, but I truly believe it. If you find yourself too many days in a row not liking what you're doing, you should find a way to start getting out of that, or changing it, or shifting. So,
yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with everything you're saying, and it reminds me of Danielle Laporte's The Desire Map a little bit, and really focusing on how you want to feel, right? Because sometimes you miss the goal, or maybe you achieve the goal and you're still kind of uninspired, or you far exceed the goal and you're still so it's like really focusing on how you want to feel now, and not when you have the new car, the new job, or whatever it is that your goal is, and just feel that way along the journey. And I think that really speaks to what you're saying, and
absolutely,
I couldn't agree more. So I want to talk a little bit about video, and your YouTube channel is amazing, and you're inspiring people all the time. We'll put all the links below so everybody can check you out there. But I would love to know what advice you have for people who want to build a presence on YouTube, and how people can do good work and build a bit of a following, and really take a stand in that platform.
I've done a lot of research and a lot of hustle on that, and I've been working with different people, and I followed a lot of different people, and so I definitely need to talk on that for a second. So what I found for me personally is, I I truly believe that there's certain things where maybe you can cut some corners or you can do this or that to help, really expedite things, right? But then there's also that good old Gary Vaynerchuk way of hustle, 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 And for me personally, when I started, I hustled my ass off, honestly, like really hardcore. So I started in September of 2000, well, just last September on my birthday. And I mean, up until, and not that I'm not hustling anymore, but I have put a little bit of focus into some other things now, but really from September to probably December, like that was where a lot of my energy and focus and effort was put on like a daily basis. And I'm a big believer, just to tie into anything you're doing in life, where your focus goes, a whole bunch of other things flow. Like that couldn't be more true. Like if your focus is on 9,500 different things and you're giving them all 2% effort, like you're never going to see massive results. Like you've got to give something, 100% effort at some point in time. And so that's what I was doing. And literally when I started, I mean, I was private messaging people like crazy on my Facebook page. I was text messaging people. I was emailing people. I was messaging people on YouTube, and I was also, leaving comments on videos. I mean, just everywhere that I could put the channel, I was. But something else that I found, I did a video on this too, was like, I'll use LinkedIn for example. So me personally with the channel, right now, I mean, there's nothing for sale. There's nothing I'm selling or anything like that. And from getting all these amazing messages, I know that it's impacting people. So I learned from somebody that I kind of put in my head, if you're not getting that in front of people, you're disservicing those who, like by being afraid to promote, by being afraid to do all those things or reach out, you're disservicing all those that could benefit from your message. And so like I was messaging people on LinkedIn and I was saying, we don't reach out enough to just say, hello or wish somebody to have a great day or whatever. But then I had this PS. PS, just if you want to know what I'm doing, I've got this inspirational channel, blah, blah, blah. And, love for you to check it out. I mean, that was it. There was nothing for sale. But this guy happened to message me and he goes, that's great. I see where you're coming from. But as soon as I saw the PS, I lost all, all credibility, all whatever for what you were saying. Because I saw the true meaning. You didn't care about me, you didn't care about wishing me a nice day or anything. You just wanted to get me to your site. And ultimately, he was thinking to sell me something to whatever, right? And of course, me, I'm going, no, that's not what I wanted to do at all. I just wanted to get it out there and just inspire people. I'm not trying to sell anything. And I know a lot of us are just being sold to all the time. So it's funny. I actually, as it was kind of like a mass message on LinkedIn from the people I've connected with, but I only sent half this initial message. So the next half, that exact morning, and the day I actually recorded the video I ended up doing, I sent out the next half. And the only thing I changed was the PS, and I took it out. So literally now my message was just, hello, just wanted to say, have a great week, whatever. Very simple. And I had, now the last time over the course of a week, I maybe got 10 replies over the course of an entire week. And I sent the exact same amount of people. It might have been we'll call it 250 and 250. So the first 250 a week, I only got 10. Within an hour and a half, I had already had like 20 or 25 people message me saying, oh, that was so kind. That was this, that was that. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I looked at your page. I'd love to do lunch. And like, I got all these messages and they kept trickling in. I think I ended up with about 50 different responses to that message this time around. And I started applying that everywhere that I was messaging people. So instead of adding in, like trying to be a little personal, obviously, but then, ultimately putting it there on the first message, I realized I had to be even a little bit more patient and just send out messages where they had nothing to do with looking at my channel at all. And
so good. I love this.
So what I found is people actually were then curious about who I was. And then guess what? They go, oh, well, that was really nice. Well, what do you do? Now I have the opportunity to tell them
Yes.
whatever I want to do. And so that made a huge, huge shift. And I actually did a video that afternoon about that. And that's one of my videos I did and said, I got called out. And so it was just like, sometimes when people call us out, sometimes it's just, the trolls, if you will, that don't care about anybody and just trying to be mean. But other times, it's constructive criticism. It can be very helpful. And that I actually applied, and it made a massive shift in my life. And had I not been open to that and was just like, no, I'm just trying to be, I'm just trying to help people. So this is just one guy.
Yeah.
Because some people, I will add for you, anybody listen out there, when I brought it up in my video, I had people message me who knew me. They go, I didn't think that at all. And what was interesting is the people who knew me, of course, knew my intentions, so thought nothing negative of me. But what the interesting point is, you've got to realize people who don't know you are going to automatically go to you're trying to just sell me, you don't care about me, all the negative things, as opposed to you're just trying to help, or you're just trying to give, or you're just trying to provide value, or whatever. And so, yeah, there's that. I'll go on for here just a second. I could be long-winded at times, so cut me off if you.
No, it's good. Riff, totally.
So, the other thing that I found very interesting is it's a community. Okay, and obviously that's very cliche, I guess. It's a community, duh. But when people are thinking about it, you've got to. I found that it's vitally important, if you want to gain subscribers, to connect within YouTube. And what I mean by that is you'll see there's a Dove campaign. You've probably maybe seen that video. There was the Dove Reel Sketches or something like that, right? So that's got like 60 million views. And they have, I think, a couple hundred videos on their channel, Dove does, and they have other videos, I think, with a few million views and whatnot. But they still only have like, I think 27,000. Don't quote me on this. I haven't looked at it in a few weeks. But I think it's like 20 or 30,000. It's not relatively speaking, I guess, depending on who you are, that could be a lot. But in the scheme of that, they have 60 million views on one video, and they still have only garnered up, 27,000 subscribers is very interesting to me, because I found another channel that was called Give Back Films. And you guys should check it out. It's they're doing some fun things, but I found them when they had their very first video. Their very first video was at about 500,000 views already. #1 video. Nothing else on their channel. They had just started. And they were already at 75,000 subscribers with one video at 500,000 views. Now fast forward to a few months later, and they're still only at, 12 videos or something now. They're at about 275,000 subscribers. So why is it that a channel that only has about 12 videos on it has 275,000 subscribers, and they're not even known? I mean, they're not a big brand. They're not. I mean, there's nothing. Like Dove. They spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions, on that video potentially, and it got the 60 million views. But yet they didn't get that many subscribers. But yet something like this gets a ton. And what I found, because I'm a digger and I would like to find things out, and I love to build relationships and friendships and all those kinds of things, so I was able to connect with the people of the channel, and they brought to me what I thought was the truth, and this is from learning what I had already learned, and it's that they were actually friends with people on YouTube, some people who had very large channels, as in 3 and 4 million subscribers on their channels. Well, what you'll find is when people comment or like your video, there's a little tab that has like their activity.
Right.
So all the 4 million subscribers saw it. Well, not all. Whoever clicked the thing to see what that channel was doing or what videos they were commenting on or anything else would see, oh, they left a comment on Give Back Films. And so what happens is, and of course they created a viral type of video to begin with. It was like giving homeless people $100. So that's all they did in the video, is give homeless people $100, like 5 or 6 people. So it was a viral type of video. So at what point it did go viral, but it still also went viral within a community within YouTube, because those people that were seeing it were already used to subscribing to channels. Whereas Dove is getting seen on Mashable and Yahoo and every other site known to man that you could be public, but they're just getting views. They're not actually getting seen by people who subscribe to YouTube videos. And so that's what actually has even happened to me. So I just reached actually 1,800 a few days ago, and I would account maybe 600 or 700 of those subscribers were from people, two people who I actually, well, one I had a connection with, but wasn't. I actually hadn't even put the videos in front of him. He might have seen them on my Facebook page, but he left a comment, and he has about 150,000 subscribers on that video. The subscribers really spiked. The views spiked. That happened another time with a girl I have no affiliation with, and she has the same amount of subscribers. I also am friends with a good buddy of mine whose wife has a very large channel, but he's acquired a pretty good chunk, which you should definitely check him out. I have to give him a plug. You might even have him on the show. His name's Alex Icon. And
yes, I love Mimi. I've been
yes.
like a fan of her forever.
Yeah, so they're absolutely incredible people. I've become really good friends with them. And Alex has left some comments on some of my videos. And those videos had spikes in views, had spikes in subscribers. And so I account about, like I said, 700-ish subscribers to that happening. Now the rest, there might be trickles that I can't really account for from that, but a rest was a lot of hustle. I mean, every Wednesday, I only post one video a week. Every Wednesday I will post it, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, typically anywhere from 2 to 3 times minimum, I will post across every network that I'm on. Facebook, YouTube, YouTube I only just upload it, and then basically I'll promote it on Facebook multiple times a day, Twitter multiple times a day. Pinterest I just loaded up once. I still haven't done much with Pinterest, but it's there. But Facebook and Twitter are probably my main. I get the majority of traffic from Facebook, and then I also do some stuff with LinkedIn. But I'm definitely not afraid. I've learned in this super fast ADD world that if you just post something on Wednesday when it goes live and then assume that every person I'm friends with on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever has had an opportunity to see it, I've seen that far, 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 far from the truth. You can't be afraid that you're annoying people. You might be annoying some, but again, that idea that there might be people who only get on once a week, not many of them, but some, or in the evenings. I mean, there's so many variations. So that small, minute person who lives on it 24/7 that sees each of your posts, sure, they may be annoyed, but they also, I've found that some of them might have to see it 6 times before they freaking finally click on it and then go watch it. And I can tell by other things I've done in the past, every time I post, views go up, subscribers go up, like all that stuff goes up. So you just can't be afraid. If you have something solid and that's helping people, don't be afraid to put it out there more than, one single time. So that's some. I can go on. I have more, but I know that we could have this be a really long interview. So I want to make sure that everything's valuable and helpful. So you let me know if you want more.
I loved that, and I do want the rest of your advice for sure. But I want to move on and get to know you a little bit more. So I want to bring it back to you a little bit. I loved the YouTube advice personally, and I know it's going to help a lot of people listening too. And I'd love to go more in depth with you. But right now, I'd love to know a little bit about your relationship with your grandpa and how you measure success with him. If you could just kind of tell that story a little bit.
Yeah, so that's actually it's crazy because I wanted to be. I truly believe that my energy, my enthusiasm, my excitement. Sometimes people see me and they ask me what I'm quote unquote on, or what do I get drunk or do all these things, and like I don't drink, none of that stuff. And the big part of it for me is my health, like in regards to what I eat, what I drink, what I like to be active. Like, typically if I'm on the phone, I'm pacing all around my studio like nonstop. And, I ride my bike. Well, what had happened was I was riding my bike a lot, and I had just started because I got really serious about it. I'll actually go back just for a second, just so people know. I actually, at one point in time, was about 185. I wasn't really, because I had a period of my life where I neglected everybody. So typical entrepreneur, when I started my company, and for I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe. I mean, I was pretty heads down, narrow focused, avoiding all contact with friends, family, whomever, just hustle, hustle, hustle. I really wouldn't suggest anybody do that. There are other ways. There truly are. I mean, yeah, I can say yes. There, like you said, everything happens for a reason. But at the same time, like I would never want to do that again, and I would never wish that upon anybody. That's also one of my things I really try to impress upon people. But anyways, I got in 185 because I really wasn't very active. There's a Subway right down the street from me that literally, if I go there now, and when I do go there very often, and a couple other places close to me, I walk. But I would not walk. I actually had a roommate, and he would walk. I'm like, dude, I'm not walking. I'm driving the car. I would not, like, every single second counted to me in regards to if I had to eat, I would drive down there, I would come right back, and I would eat, and that would be as much as I would get away. So I'd gotten up to about 185, and my ideal weight and where I'm at today is about 155, 150, somewhere in that range. Well, finally, believe it or not, as much as I love my family, my brother and my dad actually had given me a hard time and were joking with me and joking that I had these man boobs. And I had had enough. Some of us get to that point where we've either heard something too many times. Some of it drives us in a negative. I've always been driven in the positive direction. So for me, when people tell me I can't do something or whatever, I don't let it, fuel me in the negative direction, which some do out there, where it's like, oh, I guess I shouldn't do it, or I shouldn't this or that. For me, I'm always fueled in the opposite. I want to prove the opposite. So for me, I'd heard it one too many times and not realizing that my weight and things had gotten out of control. And so then I finally said, enough's enough. I need to change. And so I started walking. I started, I still was going to Subway. Instead of 3 cookies, a bag of chips, and a foot long with everything on it, I went down to, no bag of chips and no cookies and just a 6-inch, and started work from there. And within, like 3 or 4 months, I think I had lost like 10 or 15 pounds, and I started to decrease. And so then I just started being active. Well, then flash forward to last year, all of 2012, it was January that I started walking with my grandpa. But right before that, I'd never walked at the mall before, because it was that year that I had started being more active, and I was outside. Well, it started getting a little cold. And as we just talked about earlier, it's cold in the wintertime where we're both located. I'm here in Illinois. And so I was like, gosh, I need to do something, because I can't, not be active at all. And I wanted to get out. I thought, you know what, maybe I'll go to the mall. So I started walking to the mall. And unbeknownst to me, because actually my grandpa I can't say we were close, because he would just come to the family get-together stuff. I maybe saw him a few times a year, and also even less, except for as of recent a little bit, because of my career, I had actually missed a lot of family get-togethers from time to time because of my wedding business that I had. So a lot of Saturdays I did miss things, and I started to shift that a little around too. But basically I went out to the mall and didn't know that he actually walked out at the mall every day, Monday through Friday, not Saturdays and Sundays. And then we started walking together, and then I started doing it every day, and we became really close, and I started telling my dad things, and my family, and they're like, I've never even heard that. Like, I started to learn all these stories and all these things that I had never heard before, because really at the family get-togethers, it was just, he would tell the same stories over and over and over again, and then I just started to probe and started to get all this other fun stuff out of it. And there's one big thing that I've said before from it that I've learned. Is one thing I did was ask him. I said 2 things. So one, for regret. What is something that you've done in your lifetime that you regretted doing? So many of us in the moment, we might say, gosh, I hate that I did that, or I hate that I did this, or I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have done that, right? Or then I asked him, what is something that you did not do in life that you regretted not doing? Instantaneously, doesn't even flinch, nothing. He instantaneously had the one that he did not do. And that was that he never worked harder or never got his novels published that he's worked on. And then I asked him about something that he did in life, in times past, looking back, what is something that he remembered doing that he regretted doing? And he just kind of, delayed, and he's like, well, I could probably really think about it, or I could get back to you. I'm like, no. You instantly had the one of what you did not do, but you have to think about the one that you did do. So what I found really interesting, and even talking to a lot of other kind of older people, they don't regret the things they did in life. It
Yeah.
all, as you alluded to, has gotten them to where they are today. And had you changed what you did, you wouldn't be where you are today. And we all, our choices, I mean, we are exactly where we need to be because we've made every choice typically to get us to where we are. And so, he doesn't regret the things that he's done. He only regretted the things that he didn't do. And I think that that's a big thing for everyone out there listening is, you know, the only thing we're guaranteed is today and right now. And, we can keep putting off and saying tomorrow or someday or in the future or 10 years from now. But the truth of the matter is we're only guaranteed right now. And I'm very optimistic. I'm a very positive guy. I try not to incorporate too much, pessimism. But the truth of the matter is you aren't. You aren't guaranteed more than right now and today. So if there's things that you really want to do, like do them, start them. Whatever it is. I mean, be smart, but at the same time, like start. Just take that first step, and that's what I truly think. So
I love that. I love that story, as you know. And the quote for me that's coming up is that great Yogi Bhajan quote where he says, "When the time is on, you start, and the pressure will be off." And it's so true, right? It's like even when you're overwhelmed or you have a lot going on or a lot on your list, but when you do that first thing, no matter how small it is, or just, if you have a blog post you need to write or a video or whatever, if you just take one action to getting started, you immediately feel release, right?
Absolutely.
You immediately feel better. And so I think that that's also a great takeaway for this. And I just love that story with your grandpa because I think, like you said, you were getting things from him that nobody had ever gotten before, and you weren't that close with him before, and it's hard, at like family gatherings or just day-to-day stuff to really get to the juice, right? To really get to the authentic self. And you're able to have a conversation with your grandpa where you're being your full authentic self, he's being his authentic self, and that's where the magic is, whether it's with your grandpa or whether it's with, a person on the street. Like, you can talk about the weather all day, but it's like when you talk about real stuff, when you get to the real, like, juice of life of, what makes you really think hard and feel uncomfortable, like, that's when you have fun, right? Like,
I gotta interject for a second. Sorry, I'm so floored about this topic because there's something I want to add in, and you're right. Is that the other thing is like that people need to think about. Like I've made it a ritual. I've made it a habit. Like I have a whole ritual and a whole habit that I've developed on a daily basis. That when I don't do that, I am thrown off. And I think that it's a morning ritual. It is that getting up kind of early, eating healthy. I even sometimes will still, now I have a thing, so I can combat still the biking and not doing it outside. So I have the little thing you can put the wheels on and ride inside. But I'll do that. I have a healthy breakfast, and then I go out and do the walk. And then by about 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm ready to rock and roll. And I've had that. And the other big thing is, I'm very particular. It's booked. It's solid. There's no somebody
non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable. Somebody wants to talk to me. I'm not available till after 9. That's booked off every day. But the other thing is like the phone is, in the pocket or in the car. It never comes out the entire time we're talking. That's that fully present, and being there and not just like walking around as he's speaking to me or whatever,
right?
With Facebook scrolling the feed, or whatever. I mean, it is completely for those 45 minutes. And I will say about ritual real quick, like if for some reason something happens and I show up at like 8:40, he will leave at 8:45. Like I will add that in. What's so funny is because he is such on a schedule that like he won't stay longer to keep chatting it up or whatever. He'll leave still at 8:45. So, typically gets there about 8, and that's when I always try to get there. But it's so interesting because that's how we are. We're very, habitual about that. It's like we're on a schedule, and and we just we're very present with each other, and and our health is I feel great because of it too. So
I love that, and I don't know, the question I always ask people who come on to the show is, what are your morning routines and why are they so crucial for success? And I didn't even have to ask. You just you just explained it. I mean, it's perfect. And I mean, if there's anything else you want to add to it, but I mean, that's the thing. Starting your day in a positive way is really important to how the rest of your day goes. And like you said, can throw you right off.
Yeah. No, when I don't have it, when I have to travel and stuff, it does does knock me for a loop. And and yeah, and there's one other thing I do. I don't know if you have it. I have to plug him because he's really given a lot to my life. And it's funny, I had it for almost a year before I started it. But Alex has that 5-minute journal, and on January 1, I started using it, and it's got the things in the morning and then the things in the evening. It don't literally just takes you 5 minutes or less to do it. But he always tells you, write down the things that you're grateful for. What 3 things are you grateful for? And he says, even put things down that haven't even happened yet or you don't even have. And it sounds so, I know some people out there, I'm sure most that listen to you right now have gotten to that point beyond some of that, but I know sometimes I like to come from a place of realizing that I realized that I didn't understand all the quote unquote frou-frou and things you can talk about that sound a little crazy to some until you get it. But gosh, it does make a difference.
It works.
It does work. It sounds crazy, people, if you think that right now, but if you just can give it a chance, it does. And I know where you're coming from, and but it does. And I started doing it, and it's crazy the things that have happened once I start just every day, writing those things down and being grateful and just appreciative of all the things that I do have, because we all have something to be grateful for. I know some people think that life is in the dumps right now, but you can still step back, and the fact that I'm sure you still, more than likely, as somebody joked recently, if you're listening to this puppy, more than likely you've either got a phone or an internet connection or computer, which means you probably have a house, and things aren't that bad. And so there are things to be grateful for, and that's important that you recognize those on a daily basis. So
yes. I mean, abundance breeds abundance. And if you can be grateful for what you have, it creates more of what you want, and it's just a cycle, and I love that. So another big question I have for you, in going back to, the conversation piece and just why conversations in general, just right now, just talking to you, it's awesome. Yeah. So why is it, and you have a YouTube video about this, so I'd love for you to expand on it a bit.
Yeah, of course.
Why is having tough conversations so important, and important to not put them off?
Yeah, well, it's funny because up until about May or June of this year, I mean, some stuff had happened that I had to deal with, but also because of my relationships and the network that I'd built up and my friendships, like those people helped me recognize that I had to have it, unlike ever before. Because before I would, and I've talked about this before too many times we want to bottle everything up. And we don't want to tell anybody that we're struggling with something or we're afraid of something or whatever. So we don't talk about it, and we just smooth it all over like life's grand, right? And so for me, I had avoided difficult conversations, confrontation, however you want to look at it, like the plague. I mean, literally up until last year in May or June, there were a lot, and the way I dealt with it was I always just ignored it. And some of those people, I mean, they're not in my life that I might have liked to still be in my life, because I had something I needed to talk about, but I would just avoid them entirely. Text messages, emails, phone calls, everything. As long as I wasn't going to have to see them, which most of them were in situations that, unless by complete circumstance that I happen to run into them, I wouldn't see those people. So I could just avoid them, and that's what I did. And I had some things happen last year that I needed to confront. And based on my friendships, I talked to other people about the situation that I needed to talk about with someone else. And they just said, you need to stand strong for who you are. Before I would let people either walk all over me. I mean, there's so many negative things that come up when you avoid. And then I took that deep breath and I had it. And everybody out there, there is a weight that gets lifted off your shoulders when you do it. And the big thing to look at it, sometimes you have to associate negative, and you will need to associate it in a different way, though. And so for me, my negative that I put on it was more like, you know what? If I have this conversation and that person that I need to have it with isn't either understanding or they're difficult about it or whatever, that, you know what? Then they don't need to be in my life. I don't need to even put any more energy out there towards that entire circumstance, that entire situation, or that person. But if they are understanding, if they are easygoing and they talk about it and it works out, then great. Then that's someone I want in my life, because the people I want in my life are people that I don't have to constantly. I mean, is that good for people out there listening? Like, is it good for you to constantly build, circumstance upon circumstance upon circumstance and friendship, that you have these weights that weigh you down where you can feel it? I mean, guys, I know if some of you are out there listening, if there's something happening right now, you're tense, you're tight, and you just feel awful in your stomach and just all those things. And it's an awful, awful feeling. But when you talk about it and you get it off, that stuff starts to lift. And the more you can do that and the more you can build that muscle, then the easier it gets. And it's never going to just go away. I still struggle from time to time, don't get me wrong. But it definitely is so much easier. And I feel so much better on a daily basis, because overall, there's typically none of those that exist for the most part. Every once in a while, something creeps up, and then for 3 or 4 days, instead of 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 years or forever, it still maybe might be a few days, but then I do something about it, and then I take care of it, and then I can move on. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that weight being lifted. And I want everybody out there to be able to have that weight lifted, because it's the greatest feeling. And believe me, I know where you're all coming from when you have that, but it can be better. And I had one specifically, which is in the video, that I had somebody that I really wanted the friendship with. I really did. But there were some things in a positive way, I guess, but I was looking at them negatively, where we were actually too much alike. This guy had come into my life, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my twin. But I call it, everybody out there, that shiny object syndrome, or he called it popcorn, and it's like idea, opportunity, And I had just kind of gotten over being that way. And then he popped in, and it came up again. He had like a million ideas, a million opportunities, and a million directions. And I was like, we hung out for like 4 weeks, and then I started avoiding him. And I did it for like 4 months. And what did I always say? Oh man, I'm busy. Oh man, I'm busy. Oh geez, this. Oh, and then finally we got together, and then I looked and I said, okay, I gotta tell you this. I haven't really been. I mean, it wasn't about being busy. And then I described the scenario, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, man!" He's like, "I don't want to lose my buddy," and and he was awesome about it. And then our friendship grew, and then he actually got more focused and clear, and so it was awesome. And so, yeah, I mean, it's important to not avoid them as much as possible for so many reasons that I just
for sure. Described. And that's an awesome example too. I feel like he was a really big mirror for you, right? You had come out of that, and I think that's really awesome for sure. So now I'd love to wrap up with some quick-fire questions.
Okay.
You ready for them?
As quick as possible.
Okay, sounds good. So just say like the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, man. I'm bad about that sometimes, because I have so many things that always come to mind. But go ahead.
You can do it. You can do it.
Let's do it.
Confidence, right?
Yes, confidence.
All right. Favorite color?
Favorite color, blue.
Favorite day of the week?
Honestly, every day. I don't ever know what day it is sometimes. So I don't look forward to Fridays or Mondays or anything. So I just like to rock every day.
Nice. Favorite hour of the day?
Oh man. Gosh, I mean, right now I love my family and my girlfriend and everything, but I really love that walk in the morning I have with my grandpa, and I really get upset when I can't have it. So I love the morning time there.
I love that. Favorite YouTube channel?
Oh, I love the stuff on Soul Pancake.
So good, yeah. Favorite vegetable?
Oh, I love there's multiple things. I love bananas.
Favorite fruit, I was gonna say, but that was bananas.
Oh yeah, you know what? And I might not know. People find out with me sometimes. I don't know what certain things are. Or when you're asking me to think quickly, this morning, real quick, I have to say this because I'm driving with my girlfriend, and I said I saw a white-headed hawk, and she says, "You mean a bald eagle?" So I'm a little crazy sometimes, but yeah, okay. Well, so I like bananas, I like oranges, I like applesauce. I'll just say some of those things because I like all that. So
nice. What does your favorite, if you could have a superhero power for a day, which one would it be?
Oh, man. I asked actually people what people thought my superpower was recently, but what would I like to have?
Yeah, just for a day.
It's funny. I think on some level I'd like to fly, actually. I'd like to be able to fly really quickly and get places really quickly, like teleportation or something. Actually,
Yeah, that'd be way
after I
cool.
think about it, because there's so many people that are everywhere on the universe, I never get to give a big bear hug to, excuse me, often enough. So I'd love to just be able to go around giving some big bear hugs and high fives.
Nice. What is your favorite movie?
One of my favorites. Well, I love romantic comedies. One that always comes to mind. I do
Me
love
too.
Princess Bride. It's one of my classics. I love a lot. But I'm a big romantic comedy guy. So
Favorite book?
book. I mean, honestly, I have a lot, but one that changed my life was in multiple ways, the 4 Hour Work Week originally. So in
Nice.
2010.
What is
Yeah.
the best advice you've ever received?
One of the things that I live by that's helped a lot is the worst thing that's going to happen is you get a no, but you get a no when you don't ask. And at least when you ask, you have the opportunity for something good to happen.
So good. I love that one. What are you doing in your life right now that you're afraid of, but you're doing anyways? How are you challenging yourself?
I'm making a big shift because I'm making a big shift towards all the training, coaching, and inspiring, and building a business around that, as opposed to having all my income coming from video production. So it's a crazy little twist, but I love it, and I'm fired up about it. I don't know that I'm fearful. I know it will work. I kind of have that mindset. Like I said earlier, the biggest thing that's shifted is I know it will happen. It's just a matter of when, fully all be at fruition. I mean, I'm living it right now. I mean, I just started this thing called Gebbs juice. People say they need to have some more Gebbs juice after they hang out with me sometimes. So they said they were looking forward to Wednesdays. I'm like, people need to look forward to more than just the Wednesdays. I hope they look forward to other days. But I brought out these little 2-minute or less little, daily inspirations. So
I love that.
yeah.
It's awesome. Well, I'm so excited about all that you do. So I have one last question for you. The name of my blog is The Wellness Wonderland, and I really think of it as a state of mind. But to you, what does living in a wellness wonderland mean to you?
Oh, well, it truly is having, I mean, some of the things that we talked about today, and that idea where you don't live with this weight and this stress and this tenseness and this being scared or fearful, but yet you live in that joy and that happiness and that lightweightness where you just feel like you could float away sometimes, and you really just love life and you live it passionately. And you're able to just interact with just awesome people, like we're doing today. I mean, this is just absolutely great. I have a blast doing this, and so just being able to inspire people and get up and just do what I love, and not get up and be like, oh gosh,
Right.
So
Yes, I love that answer. That's amazing. Michael, thank you so much for being here. And can you just go ahead and let everyone know where to find you and kind of what's next for you? I'll have all the links below, but just generally.
Appreciate it. Rock and roll. Well, my big thing I'm sending everybody to right now is my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Michael Gebben. And then actually in the works a little bit is my michaelgebben.com. And I'm going to have everything, housed there, my little Gebbs juice, my YouTube videos and everything. But I don't have that all. I mean, they're there, but it's not all how I'd like it to be, of course. I say that.
Maybe by the time this gets up, it'll be perfect.
Yes, perfect. Well, nothing's ever perfect, but yeah, I'm happy. But YouTube is really where I really want to direct people. That's, in my little YouTube tip, it's like that was one of the things I did. I just sent people to one single unison place for the last 6 months, and it worked.
So good. All that YouTube advice I especially appreciate, and I know everyone will as well. So thank you so much for being here. We'll have all those links below, and thank you everyone for listening. Have an amazing day.
Thanks. Rock and roll.
Michael, thank you. Thanks for listening. You made it all the way to the end. I'll be back next week, but until then, let's stay inspired and keep this conversation going. So tweet at me at Katie Dalebout and our guest with your aha moments from this conversation. And like the Wellness Wonderland on Facebook, so we can all hang out there and discuss how inspired we are and how we'll apply it in our daily lives. And never miss another episode or post from me by signing up for email updates on thewellnesswonderland.com. See you back in Wonderland.